It should be no surprise that my favorite class is Scout, because I am a high ping player. Scout is simply very comfortable, doesn't need me to get too close to anything, and still deals a decent amount of damage. I used to play Quick Draw Scout a lot because, well, it was easy, and also I discovered the concept somewhat independently, like a little bit before I actually entered R3. I looked at the idea of Bloodhound, and I was like, hey, hang on a second, I could use that with any slow draw crossbow, and I could output pretty good damage. And well, we all know what happened to a Quick Draw Scout after Hexfall. I forgot I'm not playing a strike and I have to loot the chest. Yeah, I've been playing too much Mist and Remorse. There we go. So even though the other videos on this channel are mostly melee classes, that's just showcase videos, this is really more of what I would play normally. You will notice that, well, you won't notice much of anything really, because half the mobs here are CCI and thus don't really care. But I have Wind Bomb U selected, and my particles are at 4%, and this is a direct consequence. I mean, why? It's because I like the idea of grouping mobs. Wind Bomb U could have been so good in any other region, but Delve mobs here are everywhere, and also can't aim. Delve mobs here are everywhere and have CCI, and also Volley U exists. Like, yeah, the idea of Wind Bomb grouping up your enemies so you could take them out with one volley, one directed volley, is really cool, and I think it should have been, and I would love to play it, but why would I do that when I could spend an enhancement point on Volley U? You know? So I think it's in kind of a sad state. I'm also playing it Charmed. It has Harak Lore, which I got for Christmas, if you believe it. Which is what makes it, like, perform at all. But also, Scout has enough quote-unquote AoE potential that it's not as critical as you might think. Now, here's why we talk about why I use Arcane Rifle even on some single target mobs. Rest in peace, Lifey Scarlet. That is probably a massive waste. The Delve preset is, I believe, Resurrecting Revenants. So there's like a ton of Spectres and Dreads, but you'll notice that they haven't been showing up. That's because of the combination of Split Arrow and Piercing. Split Arrow appears to actually apply to the mob that is spawned on death, and so does the Piercing. which means you effectively get an instant download of 160% damage onto the mob, which is why you saw that tanky spectre spawn with like 40% of its health bar just gone. It's been eaten. I also have no death animations because it got really cluttered. This is like, okay, if I spawn a bunch of mobs, right, drag them together, that's kind of how you might have used Wind Bomb U, but it's also in a region where everything is kind of threatening to leave alive. Like you've got flying guardians. If you let them hit you, they'll poison you and deal like a good 30 health bar. Every single mob there was ranged because they had their tridents out. So what do? The only thing you could leave alive is melee mobs and like creepers, but there's not that many of them. Of course, it's not like Scout has like that good. Oh, it spawned a Leviathan because it had like one toe in the water. That's funny. But it's not like Scout has that many good enhancements either, like other enhancements. But I just take Swiftness U because Swiftness U is like a free damage negation, or you know you could be taking Sharpshooter U. Sharpshooter U is also kind of free damage, although in sometimes R3 is a little cramped, so you can't really get the full benefit. But it's also like it's pretty consistent damage at least. The damage output on this thing definitely like looks lower than something like Quick Draw Scout would be, but the run and gun that Arcane Rifle enables is so good that you can kind of give up on the, at least in my opinion, you can kind of give up on the mobility that Quick Draw Scout affords, because you can get away with just kind of killing everything. Now, I think it's widely discussed that Predator Strike's not all that good of an ability, but I keep P-Strike 1 around anyways, because yep, that's the effective Coven Mon right there. You get shot for using it. I mean, the point is kind of to shoot your enemies instead, but it's not a very good weapon, is it? Oop, trick shot. Stay there. Yeah, although the damage is a little poorer, you're still perfectly fine with the shots that you deal, because damn, I don't have Loom, and the thing goes to blocks half the time anyways, for some reason. Wow, I have no healing and these mobs keep coming. Shut up. Shoot you twice. Yeah. Peace Strike is a good answer to an elite that you really don't want to be leaving alive, and also something that you think you might miss if you have to account for travel time and bullet drop. Especially on a crossbow, because because you can just left click and then fire, and even at point blank, well, at point blank it's not very good. It's only double your damage, but it's passable at least. Piercing is sometimes not just a buff to your AoE capabilities. With the power of split arrow, it is also a buff to your single target capabilities. If you are careful and you shoot the Colossus of Calamity, which is the Hog Rider Colossus, like right between... Okay, that is a Transcendent Elite. I don't like that very much. Yes, if you manage to hit like 2 mobs at once, the split will jump and deal extra damage to both, because split thankfully disrespects iframes. Then again, you could also just Peace Strike. Peace Strike has a tiny AoE. I don't have the charm that makes it better. Okay, let's see. Okay, that was my bad. I kind of shot it into the ceiling before I had a way to get rid of it. Okay, how many of those are there? Okay, I would like out of here now. Oh, spawner. That looks like healing. I swear I don't usually have to run away this much. I'm just washed. Man, I hope those spawners didn't reset while I was away. I used to play Bowhunter. I used to play Wind's Gaze, and the damage was really good. Okay. Okay, that's annoying. But I switched over to Crossbow Hunter because, well, first off, Wind's Gaze has no piercing, and secondly, it takes a long time to draw the shot. The upside of using Bowhunter is that it isn't so punishing if your connection's unstable, because you can fire an arrow at any charge, and that can make things go away. But as you can see, when I panic a little bit and my timing messes up, or sometimes just randomly, right, my crossbow doesn't load. And with my bad, I panicked. And with my crossbow unloaded, I can't really kill anything. That's why I have like a second crossbow. Type down is a very good option to just panic and shoot things with. Oh, that's cool. I immediately make up for it by missing 4 shots on a mob, which I know the exact trajectory of, so all things in balance. Allegedly, these spawner mimics, they can drop the emblem of Wrath, which I think is the is an Arthur overworld thing, but I have never been fortunate enough to find one. How? Wait, hang on. How do these things work? Surely I didn't deal like 900 damage to it with that salvo, did I? Do they lose health as they spawn mobs or something? Behind me. Go away. Today is not our lucky day. We do not, in fact, get anything out of that. I know most people choose to like just skip the spawner because they don't want to deal with the... What is this? Because they don't want to deal with the spawner mimic that comes out of it. But I still want the loot. One of the reasons I keep Tightbound Arbalest as my sidearm weapon is because it's pretty much the highest damage QC2 crossbow there is in Ring. Because it has first strike and has point blank, and its base damage isn't bad either. But the real reason is that I was using it for a different build and I just had it masterworked, and so I put it in. The build was Desecrating Shot Hexbreaker, and yes, it was point blank because jeez man, how do you block that? It was point blank because it was a technique stack build. I could still play it. I think it's just one of those things where you die though. Is there a point in going in here? There's no chests. I might as well just skip that area. There is an added convenience to using crossbows over bows, and that's that you don't have to stand there and load them while the enemy walks at you. Where are they? You can kill the enemy first and then load your crossbow. I mean, in the context of this build, which is not running best in slot projectile gear, you're not gonna one-shot enemies with arcane rifle. That's more the domain of things like Trident Ball or point blank Tidebound. But what is that? L. But for Hunter, you're fine because of pinning shot. you can just pin it and then deal with at a later date. You know, a little bit after you load your crossbow. I was wrong. It seems these guardians do not inflict poison with their... Okay, jeez. I want that gone. The guardian does not, in fact, inflict thorn poison with its beam. That's only if it melees you. Or more accurately, if you ram yourself into its spikes. I'm wondering how to tackle the 10 shielded spawners. I think this is just where I reach into my equipment cases and grab the sky splitter. It's a cowardly move, but it's just the best way to deal with it. Anyways, R3 Hunter and like to a lesser extent R2 Hunter, but really it's a much lesser extent. They're both AoE classes in some sense, or they're not true AoE, but it's more like you shoot roughly in the direction of the mob cluster, and then mobs that you weren't aiming at die, and that's the power of split arrow. If you are not playing on a spectral heavy or legionary heavy preset, you may benefit from opting to shoot mobs with tidebound arbalest, because that has a decent chance to properly one-shot a mob because of first strike and point blank. However, usually in R3, your spawner is going to spawn like 2 mobs at base sometimes. Where did this other dread come from? Like, come on, I thought you died already. Is that the... It's not, that's just a normal mob. I'm gonna get maledictioned into the boss arena. There's a couple reasons why I don't just directly run best in slot. The first one is that best in slot is boring. It's not innovative. How much health did I just delete in one predator strike? The second is that I want to be able to just like move forward and keep shooting, and that's kind of enabled by having enough HP to not worry about things. Okay, unfortunately I kind of went a little bit too close to that side, so I triggered a couple spawners, but we're done with Rampart. You saw a little bit of the technique of me aiming between the golem and the mob riding on top. 3 rares? Streamer luck, for real, for real. Okay, let's... Are we gonna get a 4th rare? 3 rares and 2 dust. Are we gonna get a 4th rare from our weekly treasure? Yeah, yes, wow! Okay, so it turns out that Monumental likes it when I play Scout. Yeah, cool. Anyways, if you are free, subscribe. I'm looking for that vaunted 500 subs for the homegrown creator role, because I don't think I'll be able to get out of having 0 tags on my Discord username otherwise.